Hello everyone! Welcome back to using R. Aren't you excited? Aren't you excited? Little things in life, y'all. Okay, so if you haven't already, make sure you have this Word document open. Remember that you can find that on your Blackboard page. Just to remind you of where that is. So in the weekly to-do list, you would be in week 5, and this Word document is shown next to the R project. Remember that I usually recommend that you have 3 things open while you're doing these. I recommend that you have the actual assessment open because you can save these. You don't have to finish this all when you're doing it, but it helps you to know what information you're going to need. So have this open, have the workbench open, and then also have the Word document open. All right, now I'm about to walk you through this first set. So I'm going to close this so that you can see me walking through. So when you open, if you have a markdown already showing in your markdown console, close that because we're not going to use that today. And then you need to go to Shared Projects, Bergacre, Stat 215. Now remember, this is important. Pay attention. Remember, when you get in here, do not click on One Quantitative Variable Part 2 because if you do that, so if I do that right now, I am opening mine. Now, I can edit it because it's mine, but if you open it this way, you will not be able to save it or knit it, and that's going to be a problem for you today. So, do not open it, all right? Right now, I have that open. I'm going to close it, and instead of opening it in here, I'm going to check the box, go to More, Copy To, and then go to your Home, and then go to your Stat 215 folder, and save it in there. Okay, you still haven't opened the markdown. It should look like this. You have your file, environment window, and console, but you have no markdown window yet, all right? Now, go back home, go to your Stat 215. Now, this is yours because you're in your home, in your Stat 215 folder. Now I open it, okay? All right, now that we have it open, I'm actually going to split my screen so that I can have that Word document open. Close some of the things I have. And the project. This is valuable for you because we like to copy and paste some code. And so if we have them next to each other, it's easier to pull that in and out. Octaliba. Don't you hate it sometimes when a computer is like, oh, I know what you want. You want to be full screen? Let me do that for you. No, I don't. I don't need you to help me with that. I know what I want. Ugh. I'm very opinionated today. Okay. Alrighty mighty. Let's move this over just a little bit more. And this. Now, I am actually going to shrink these windows down right now so that you can have a better view of our project document. All right, we're ready to begin. Now, today you are going to knit, and so I want you to make sure you first start at the top, and we're going to work our way down, all right? So we're going to change our author name, and remember that when you do this, it has to say green, okay? Don't, if you see it as black, it's because you have deleted one of the quotes, so it needs to be green. Green is good to go. Don't change the output type, and we're going to leave those dashes. Don't touch any of that, so just change your name and the date. Then we don't need to worry about this chunk of code, but we do need to run the library. So you can either highlight that and run it that way because it's the only line of code in this chunk. You could do it that way, or again, remember that you can go up to that run option. So we need to make sure that library is run. I can see it's run down in the console, so that's good. I'm going to move to the next part. So this time, I actually, in the data, am doing some coding to get the data from being called 1s and 2s to being called female and male. So the data, when it came in, it was coded as a 1 for female and a 2 for male. And I have written code, here you can see, that I'm labeling the 1 and 2 as female and male. So that means for this whole chunk, I want the whole chunk to run. I don't want to run just this, which is reading in the data. I need this to run as well. So this time I actually am just going to push that green arrow. Again, you can see that that's been run down here. I also give you some code that I've commented out. So commented out means that hashtag or that number sign is there, and you can see a comment is shown in green. If I want to see the names of this new data set, which we're calling IQ, I can run this chunk of code, but for it to run, I need to take that hashtag off. So here I ran it. Now I can see all of the variable names, which is helpful, remember, because to have some of this output come up, you have to have this exact capitalization and spelling for your variable. So I'm going to put that comment back on because I don't need that. So we've run from the top to the bottom, which is always what you should do. And you should be in the habit of saving as you go along. So I'm just going to push save because we've made some changes. Now I'm going to move into making my output. So this is where I actually will start reading in the data. So we already did the change to the header. We did the library run. I told you about that. Now we're going to actually start making output. So I'm going to copy this fave stats code and I'm going to put it into my line 40. It doesn't have to be exactly at 40. It's just a general location. And we are going to, let's see today, what did I say? We're going to do it for IQ by our gender. So I'm going to copy gender because that's the group we want to do it by. We want to do it for IQ, so I'm going to put IQ in for my variable. We named our data IQ, capital IQ, so I'm going to put that in where the data is, and it should look like this. So we have IQ that we want the numeric summary for. We want to do it by gender, and we're doing it for the data that we've named IQ. And we're going to do the NA remove equals true, and we're going to run that, and you can see that it has done the numeric summaries for female and male separately. And that has happened because we have that tilde and then gender. So we're going to do this again, but this time we're going to change our variable from IQ to GPA. So what you just saw me do, I'm going to cheat a little bit. I copied that and I'm going to switch this just to GPA. There we go. That's all I have to do for that. And then I'm going to run that line of code. And now you can see it has changed. And this data I got online. I'm very curious because the GPAs you can see, it seems like it goes up to, I don't know, 11. It's very interesting to me. Anyway, doesn't matter. It's neither here nor there because our whole point here in this project is to compare genders. Okay, so we've done number 1, A and B. And now we're going to move into number 2, where we want to make a box plot that we can compare for the two groups. So I'm going to put this into about line 50, same process. So we want to do it for IQ. So I'm going to put that in for the variable. We want to separate it by gender. So that's the by group. And then my data is IQ. So that's all you have to do. Should look like that. And when I run that, you can see that I get 2 separate box plots for males and females. And this is comparing their IQs. Alrighty, mighty. Next piece of output that we need is going to be a box plot for GPA. So again, I'm going to copy the code that I had above because the only thing that I need to change this time is my variable. I still want to compare by gender, and so I'm going to keep everything else the same. I'm just going to switch the variable to be GPA. Now, excuse me. We talked about this when we talked about how to compare groups, but you can see how similar these two box plots are, and so I would say that their GPAs are almost the same. Also, you can see that for variability, the length of the box plots are similar. However, there are some outliers here, which creates more variability in the male plot. Okay, next one we have is going to be the histogram. So I'm going to copy this code, and I'm going to pop it into line 59. And now, with this, I am going to do something a little different. So I still need to do IQ. So I'm going to take that and copy it. And that's my variable. And I am going to do the same data, IQ, and we're putting everything together. So this time we're not having a by group. And I actually am going to push the break code down because I first want to run it to see what the histogram looks like, and that will help me to know how to do the breaks. So I'm going to run this, and you can see it's actually pretty good without any help from me, but I'm going to see if I can make it look just a little bit better. So the jumps are pretty good jumps. I don't know, the range is actually pretty good too. So I guess, let's see, that's 80, 100, 120, 140. So this would be about, what do we think? 70? So 70 to 140. Let's try this. Let's see if we can do some adjustments here. So the start is maybe 70. The end is maybe 140. And then this seems to be jumping by, I don't know, let's say once, and let's just see what happens. Ugh, gross. That is gross. Let's try tens. That's kind of gross too. Let's go down to 5. Oh, that's better. We could do 5s. So I like that. You like that all right? I like that. I think it looks pretty good. That is why I leave the break code out initially, because I'd like to see how it comes out. Remember the jumps, when you make it bigger, the bars become bigger, so you don't want to get too big. But this is good. And then the last one, we're on to number 4. So I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to pop it into my line 64, and we're going to do now histograms by group. So it's still IQ. And this time when we do the by group, it's separated by that straight line. So I'm going to do gender as my by group. And then the data is still IQ. And then we'll use the same breaks that we had above. So I'm going to do 70, 140, and then we're going to jump by 5s. And I knew that because of what we had shown above this. All right, looks good. Okay, now that we are done, and this is the first time we've done this in a project, but we're going to knit. So essentially all you have to do is boop, pop that little button. Now you could choose the type of knitting that you're going to do, but because up here we say that we want the output to be a Word document, it will automatically do Word document because that's the first on the list. So when I push that knit button, you can see it working in the console, and then it will say download file. You can do that because you're going to want to upload this to Blackboard. Now the beauty of this Word document, you can see here, the benefit of it is that it shows me what your code is, and then the output for it also shows you. So it's nice sometimes to use this to be the object that you're uploading to Blackboard, and it's nice to be able to reference everything at once instead of what we've been doing, which is running a line of code, taking a snip, running a line of code, taking a snip. So this is what a Word document that is from an R Markdown file looks like. It gives you all the comments, it gives you the output, and it gives you the code. Now there are ways to adjust how this is made, but for right now, this is perfect. That's exactly what I want. All right, we're done with that. So I just want to make sure that we have everything we need. So you'll get that from your output. We're comparing, calculating IQRs. Y'all can do that. We're talking about GPAs, talking about how they compare, a little explanation. Same thing. Now we're moving from, oh, this was IQ. And then this was GPA. And then the, because that histogram is normally distributed, or it looks bell-shaped, you can use the empirical rule for that. So this will have you calculating that. And this has you comparing the 2 histograms that we just created and then the document. Great. You are all good to go. If you have any questions, please do not struggle on your own. Please let me know. I hope that this goes well. Happy coding!